This is our town.
Welcome!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 174 of Valley Town. I'm ChanManV, and today we got a special guest here, fresh off a Summer Championship victory, Bunnyhoppor. What's up again? What's up, Bunny? It's first time on the show.
Doing well. Just got home yesterday because it's been like one whole day at home now, and off again soon.
Right?
Yeah.
The life of a pro player on the tour, man. It's like amazing. Gaara's back this week. So he's been gone for a couple of weeks. People are like, where's Gaara? Are we switching hosts again? And that sort of thing. No, we're not switching hosts. We just, last week was just a miscommunication. That was mostly my bad. But welcome back, dude.
Thanks. I thought you were introducing me as the special guest.
No. I was kind of switching up the order this week. I felt like, doing something a little different. How you been, man?
I'm doing great. I wasn't too sad about the week that I missed. I was watching like Serbia lose in football, and then I was also watching Germany lose. So all worth it.
All worth it. All worth it. Germany lose?
The
Seriously? Okay.
No, it was a joke. Of course not. They both dropped out on the same day.
Yeah, that was a pretty unexpected day, that's for sure. But today, guys, we've got not too many topics today, but we'll definitely be talking a lot about obviously the Summer Championships. But the ladder ended and started since the last episode. And then I've got a little bit of news from Blizzard about just some changes to the cards, or at least upcoming changes. And then we'll do some Q&A at the very end, as always. So be ready, I guess, in Twitch chat today to tweet some things. We only got like one email question this week, so we'll be taking whatever we see in the chat. But why don't we start like we always do, just our week in Hearthstone. I think Bunny has just basically been flying back from the championships, competing in the championships. So I'm sure we'll be getting to that. But Gaara, what you been doing this week?
I was thinking about like his week in Hearthstone. He qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty
good week in Hearthstone.
Week. Yeah.
I climbed like almost 2 servers to Legend. I don't know. It's pretty good. Usually takes longer than
4 days. Oh my god, or 3 days. 3 days. That's crazy.
And I didn't play 2 days. Like the first day you don't play because of I was awake, always 30 hours or how long.
Yeah.
And then you basically crash the next day, and then you almost nobody plays Hearthstone on the first day of the new season. Like you're just not awake, and then you don't want to see Hearthstone at least for 2 days. And then I started playing on the second, and we had to submit decks for Italy 2 days before the season reset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had like 2 hours or so to submit decks, and then I'm only playing the decks on ladder that I submitted. Just I know these are not optimal ladder decks, but I play them anyways just to get used to it, to get sample size in. And then I climbed with just even lock to Legend, and then I climbed with almost only Bark Warrior to Legend. I'm like rank 1 5 stars, and
nice.
I don't know, it's going good at least on ladder. And tomorrow Italy, HCT Italy, depart.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So, Bunny, for you, now that you're just traveling everywhere, what's your ladder schedule look like these days?
I don't ladder
at all?
This month.
Not this month? Okay.
I haven't played a game of Hearthstone since...
now you don't have to do anything. Like, it must be nice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got other stuff in my hand. Firstly, traveling, and secondly, writing a PhD thesis.
Yeah. You're splitting time, which is definitely amazing, and we were going to talk a little bit about it again. So for me, I just been messing around with all kinds of different decks in the beginning, just playing against, I feel like I play against Even Warlock. Actually, the first day of the season, I literally played against Even Warlock 70% of my games. It was like ridiculous, but maybe it had something to do with watching the tournament too. But
it was like the worst deck in the tournament though.
Yeah, it was, but it was one of the most popular decks, I think, right? Actually,
it was the most popular, yes.
Yeah. So we saw a bunch of it, that's for sure.
Actually, in the last 3 days, I only faced Zoo. I haven't faced another
Yeah,
Warlock.
it's totally switched over to Zoo. Yeah, for me in the last couple days, it's been weird.
One guy reached rank 1 legend, and then everyone plays Zoo now.
Yeah, people are like, Zeus great again. And you're like, it's the start of the season.
I haven't lost a game to it.
It's net
today I
decking, man. It's the world of net decking. That's just,
It's such a
it's how it
unique
is.
deck, though. We will probably talk about it later, right? Because it
we can bring
plays
it up, sure. Yeah, definitely.
it plays the heal cards.
Yeah,
It's
got the
actually not
Glinda-
bad,
The Glinda thing, yeah, it's pretty cool.
and it works.
Does
Yeah,
it
all the
really
heals
work?
in it-
Like, I've never lost to it. I
Dude,
crush it every time.
Everyone I face is like rank 1 or legend, or a lot of people play it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Clearly
It
people are
doesn't
having-
feel weak. It doesn't feel weak. Super weak. Right?
all right, pretty interesting. Okay, in terms of news, I think one of the things is that the Tavern of Time event is officially ended. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to experience the arena, or we definitely done an arena episode between I think the last time you were even on, Gaara. But did you guys anything from the event? The quest. You guys like the quest, the whole gold and dust kind of quests, and
Yeah, more gold, more dust was awesome.
yeah,
Dude, more it's like free dust basically, free
Yeah.
gold.
yeah,
I don't know. I think 2 of the first quests I just did in one day in like a tavern, bro,
yeah,
with the shadow reflections. You just play like, I think it was like draw 25 cards. You just play
Mhm.
Radiant Elemental and then 25 powered shield, and you get your quest done
yeah.
in like 2 minutes. It's perfect.
The quests are easier now. That's for sure, and I think a lot of people have been asking for it. So they're basically just giving us more stuff now, and I think throwing dust in there too. That's good, right? Because dust is the most flexible thing we can use. So I hope they continue it. I hope it's not just an event type of thing. They just moving forward, they start to use dust more, at least in tandem with the gold. That'd be awesome. Other than that, I did the arena. I got 12 wins once, and I was pretty much good. Like I was, like we had all we had Dreads and who else do we have? Who else do we had that episode? Oh, we had Dreads and Ed walked on, and so we talked to all about the new cards and stuff. But yeah, I pretty much just played a week of it and was done with it. Overall, I think it was a success, though. A lot of people are happy about it. Like on Reddit, a lot of people are saying best event of all time. I'm trying to think of any other events were better. Do you guys remember the other event, the old events? I think we've only had like a few, right? We've only had 3 events, maybe.
Wasn't it like an event where we got a pack every day?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
The
there
Chinese
was
one?
that was a good one.
Chinese lantern something? I don't even know.
Yeah,
The something festival.
with this it got like at least a pack a day, right? So because like every quest was at least 60 dust, and that's like
yeah.
your average pack or something.
It was done in a different way, yeah. But in the end, you're right. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, each of those quests were equivalent to a pack, and we were getting at least one of those a day, and it was more flexible than a pack, right, with the dust. So yeah, this was a little bit better than that. Well, I hope they continue it. I think it's generally a good idea just to throw those in between expansions, and we can experience something different. The other thing that they announced was that there's going to be some upcoming adjustments to some of the minions, and I was really curious to see what you guys thought of some of these adjustments. If there's anything you guys can just think off, like right off the top of your head, that this would impact. But so we got a couple giants. They basically changed the elementals. Totally makes sense. Like I don't know why elementals.
I want to interrupt immediately. I was talking about this with my stream today. Like Molten Giant, I can somehow see it, because there's like Molten Core. We have already fire elementals clearly, right?
Yeah, sure.
And Molten Elemental, I mean, it's super sketchy, but I can see it. But Mountain Giant being an elemental, I mean, come on, bruh. It has
Why not? That's the earth element.
Yeah, like
no, but we have an earth elemental. It can't be 2 earth elementals.
Actually, that's true. We do have it.
We have an actual earth elemental. And okay, if the people know something about Warcraft lore, it is part of the Night Elf race. And the Night Elves have absolutely nothing to do with elementals. They're like the furthest you can imagine from elementals.
Oh, okay. I didn't really think about it like that.
And shamans, they don't even have the shaman class or anything like that. And shamans summon earth elementals, right? It's super sketchy. It's just a giant. It is a giant. It's not an elemental. Like, come on, bro.
So you're saying mountain giants usually belong to to
The
other
giant
person learn.
It should
The
be
giant-
a giant race, basically.
I think
what he's
I
saying.
think they're created by Titans, but yeah, it's like I don't know. It's definitely not an elemental. I mean,
kinda
come
know
on.
where you're coming from, but like my first instinct was this is like makes sense, but the mountain one, I mean, I can understand that. Mountain one's
The
okay, I
mountain
guess.
element. I mean, we have Vex elemental, so I guess.
I have no idea what kind of synergy they would have like right now. Maybe it's for like upcoming.
No, it's mainly what comes for me to my mind is Big Spell Mage, because I've seen already like 1 or 2 Big Spell Mage playing Mountain Giant in a like a greedier version where you play the 4 mana card that draws you cards. You play a lot of late game. The 4 mana that draws your card, it costs 5. Then the Mountain Giant costs 0, right? And
So
it has
which
elemental synergy.
Really? Okay.
No. The free 4 that draws your card and it costs 5 mana.
Bright-Eyed Scout.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
that's good, right.
You play like a lot of late game and you play that as your card draw, because every card draw sucks in Big Spell Mage. Then you play that, and then you play. I've seen lists with Mountain Giants, and then if that is an elemental, that's insane for the synergy.
Like, what's the percentage of miss though by Bright-Eyed Scout? Like, how many cards are under 4?
It doesn't really matter. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. That's the point. But you play like a lot of bombs. You play Alana. If you high roll, it's like game winning. If you hit Jaina, Alana, Lich King, Mountain Giant, you play literally a 0 mana Mountain Giant if you hit that.
Yeah, Vara.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Wait, Bunny?
Vara used to play that in his Big Spell Mage just like a while ago, when there was still like mid-deep and you wanted to just be more proactive with the deck and just drop some bombs and just run people over rather than fatigue them. And just play that, and then if you hit like mid-deep or Jaina on 5, you just basically win because you get too much value. I mean, like Alana, you probably don't care too much. Other than that, you can like Dragon's Fury the board away and then play an Alana on empty board and you win. But that's like super late game, right?
Yeah. I am curious as to, I'd have to see bring up the deck, because I've been playing Big Druid some. Dude, I keep missing Scout. It's like so bad how many times I get like naturalized. 5 mana naturalizes all the time, which really, really sucks. But I could see it. Yeah, definitely high rolling. I mean, if you high roll, it's like an auto win, in terms of the big spell mage. That makes sense.
But now that it's an elemental, you have way more incentive to try it.
Yeah. That's true.
But they didn't do it with the Sea Giant, no, did they? Because that would actually change things.
That's true. Oh my God, Sea Giant would be like.
I mean, Sea Giant is obviously not
broken. That'd be Naga broken,
yeah.
like Naga Sea Witch broken type of stuff.
No, just because like you play, I don't know why it would be Naga Sea Witch broken.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about with Bright-Eyed Scout, I guess. If there's just like even more hits that you can
okay.
do with it, yeah.
No, I mean because like if they would make Sea Giant an elemental, it would even change current meta, because you play Sea Giants in Even Shaman, and Even Shaman has elemental synergy cards, right?
Ooh, that's true.
Like,
yeah.
So I guess like as of right now, they don't want to change anything in the meta. Because then people would be
elemental
like,
card would
why?
you add? Like which additional elemental card would you add in Shaman? I mean, they've got all the big ones in there right now, I feel like.
I mean, you just put the 2 mana buff spell on it. That's good enough.
You
just
mean
play
on
a 2 mana 8/8 and buff
Yeah.
it to a 10/10 to get the next elemental back.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Another interesting thing is that you can discover him now from Servant of Kalimos, the Mountain Giant.
I mean, I guess this is actually like a nerf to what is it? What is that 2 mana card called? Earthenmight? It's called
Earthenmight.
Earthenmight, right?
Earthenmight,
Which gives you a
yeah.
random elemental.
Right.
Because if you don't want a Mountain Giant or Mountain Giant in your Even Shaman, you get those off Earthenmight and you're like, come on, bro.
You can't get Molten, it's a Hall of Fame, but you can get Molten.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't they? I thought they took it. They reverted the change and put it back into stand.
It's still in Wild.
Oh, they put it back
It's in Wild. Yeah,
Wild.
It's in Wild.
Never mind. Yeah, okay.
Still it doesn't have any impact any impact.
Yeah, so it's only Mountain Giant then, I guess.
Okay, well, also Witchwood Piper ends up being a demon now. This one, I mean, this one might. Can you see this in any kind of like Warlock deck here?
The interesting thing is there's very few neutral demons ever printed. I think it was 3 in total. There was like this quiz in Hamburg when we had like this Blizzard meetup. It was one of the questions: how many neutral demons are there.
Yeah.
And it was only like 3 or so. And they are like bad besides Illidan, all the neutral demons. It's like the zero free spell power imp or whatever it is.
There's also a new one in this expansion, right?
Yeah. And this is like a good demon, right? I don't know where it matters though.
Yeah, let's say our sound levels are kind of changing a little bit. I'm sorry about that, guys. We've been having a little bit of audio issues today, so I'll try to turn myself up too. Yeah, the neutral demons. I mean, it's always been something. I don't know why they have to be so careful about demons. I mean, like what other class runs demons except for warlock? So I don't think that's ever been an issue, whether it's neutral or not. It could have been just a warlock card. Now, that would have been fine too, right? So
maybe if sacrificial pact.
Pact? You think so? Like,
yeah, I think you don't want to have too many irrelevant demons generally in the game, because sacrificial pact is a card that is supposed to be used on your own minions, right? That's the whole point.
Right.
That's how they planned the card. Like if it becomes a card that you just put in your deck and you put it on opponent's minions, it's obviously super broken. Like that's just silly. That's why they don't want to print neutral demons. Like you never want sacrificial pact to be ever a staple in the warlock deck.
That's good.
When it comes to the point where that's a staple, you did something wrong.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so this one might, I think is going to be interesting. This one, I think we might see right away in some kind of weird, or just warlock being so popular right now. I just feel like somebody's going to try something. And then we've got the good old North Sea Kraken. Turns into a beast now. So I don't know. We can there's definitely a lot of things going on in Hunter in terms of beast. So we can actually get this now in Build a Beast, right? Which is not the greatest, given that it's 9 mana, right?
You only get up to 5 mana.
Oh, you only get. Oh, right. You only get up to 5 mana. That's true. So it's not a Build a Beast thing. It's you could add it and have Katharina, be able to pull it out or something like that. You see any potential here?
Looks irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
Like completely.
The thing is, it was very good in Arena. It was played, but now it's in Wild, right? And in Wild, the power level is just too little, too small. So I don't think it affects any decks.
Yeah,
it would have affected something before, but not now.
Yeah, it was good about a year and a half ago. It was really, really good, right, in Arena. But now I almost never hear about this card anymore. So okay, so pretty irrelevant. Jungle Moonkin. So yeah, this one.
Weird.
Yeah, this one was just. I mean, it does affect Beast Druid. It's just Beast Druid's not really relevant at this point, right? There was a time where Beast Druids would run this card, like a long time ago. Beast Druid wasn't great back then, but still they would run this card. Now it's just kind of like, all right.
I really wonder, who on Reddit discussed the archetypes, because making Mountain Giant an element and then taking away the Beast tag from Moonkin, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess somebody actually noticed what they've written below. Like somebody actually PM'd them about it and was like, guys, you can't have one of them be a beast and the other moon cannot be a beast. In the lore, they're actually humans. I don't even know. But they were like, well, I guess. And then just gave in to whoever said.
Okay. Just to teach you, Taurens, that's druids, right? Druids can transform themselves into beasts. They can transform themselves into Druid of the Claw, into Jungle Panther, and Moonkins. So if Druid of the Claw and Jungle Panther or whatever, these are all beasts. Okay. Why is a Moonkin not the beast? It's the same thing, dude. You transform yourself into a freaking... It's an owl. It's a beast. It's okay.
Wait, what's their reasoning here? Let's see.
I don't understand.
They said the overall community was saying that Moonkin should not be a beast.
Then,
maybe
but Mountain Giant is an element. Are you serious? Are you serious?
Well, I think it was more about the fact that Darkmire Moonkin wasn't a beast, yet Jungle Moonkin was a beast. So I think it was the inconsistency that the community was giving feedback on. But You're talking about the lore, right? If it's the lore,
Yeah,
then it should be a
I
beast.
was
Yeah.
talking about Halazel before they changed it. That it's super weird that Halazel is no elemental and Jade Spirit, because those are actually elementals, right?
Yeah.
But this is like what the fuck, dude?
Oh,
It's like-
actually, okay. Somebody in the chat saying Moonkins are in fact intelligent humanoids. That's not true. He's just like trolling us. He must be trolling me. He does not look like a humanoid at all. That guy. That is like a total
intelligent
owl beast.
humanoid.
That is
Yeah,
an
that's
owl beast. Yeah,
Did he use the
total
kappa
owl
face?
beast. No, he didn't. But he's been capping like all day here. Okay,
All right.
and the last thing is the I think they're speaking to the Witchwood Grizzly, which the Witchwood Grizzly is like a spectral card, right? Like it's more of like it looks like a spectral beast. So, you know, it being spectral, that would mean it would be a ghost, right? It wouldn't officially be a beast, but they said they're keeping it as a beast just because they
Dude.
like how it plays.
It's a grizzly.
It's a grizzly.
It's a freaking grizzly.
I know, it's true. Like I don't know why we're even talking.
Who would argue this is not the beast?
That's true.
It's a
Okay.
grizzly bear.
Yeah. So
Wait,
overall, wait, go ahead.
does it look like a bear on the like actual like card that they had before? Or does it look?
The previous one? Yeah, that's a good point. Let me.
It looks like a ghost on the previous
yeah,
one.
it's
is a
like
ghost
all
on the
blue,
previous-
right? It's all
It's a beast ghost. Never heard of beast ghost before?
no.
I don't know,
gosh,
Kevin.
it's-
It's like a beast dies and becomes a
Yeah.
ghost beast. Still a
Anyways,
beast.
It's stupid.
I guess people complained about
I
it.
guess this is an intelligent humanoid.
Probably.
People. All right, here it is. Okay, this is what we currently see. It's a blue. It looks, it's a ghost-looking thing, but the actual name of it is an actual grizzly. So it's I don't know. It's supposed to be undead, I think, maybe officially, and that's why people are arguing. Whatever, they're not changing it. I'm glad they're not changing it too, because I think the fact that it is a beast makes it interesting with like Dire Frenzy and
Yeah, why would you change grizzly to?
I know.
Come on, dude.
Arthas is really fun because it's discovered by Deathstalk Arexa. They use Deathstalk Arexa and really fun in the same sentence.
It's really
Yeah.
fun.
Play against Taunt Druid. Can I discover Death Rattle Poisonous? Deal 2 damage to everything? My opponent always thought that was a fun interaction.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. It doesn't sound like there's gonna be much, or at least right off the bat. No very obvious ways to, maybe abuse some of these changes. But good to see that they're at least taking some feedback and willing to change some of these cards.
Listening to Twitch chat to balance the game.
Listening to
No.
Twitch chat.
To change the card types, not the balance.
Yeah, card type. Well, changing a card type can affect balance.
Just you
right?
wait. Just you wait.
Just you wait. What?
We heard some excellent feedback about certain
Oh
cards.
my god. Whatever.
Isn't it, what did Twitch chat say during the playoff? Did they say nerf the Jabberwocky?
No, they said bring back Yoxaron and Tess.
Nice.
Apparently, everyone was playing Tess in every single deck.
All right, man. The sarcasm on this episode is like at its high. I don't think we've ever been at this level. But one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention right off the start, that this episode is sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. Those of you not familiar with Dollar Shave Club, they're this awesome, obviously this service that you can purchase any types of toiletries that you might need. So if you're the type that doesn't want to go to the store, buy, just whatever's razor or cleansers or toothpaste or any of that stuff, Dollar Shave Club's the perfect website for you. And a lot of people just kind of associate it with shaving, but they have all kinds of stuff now. So body cleanser, just anything you need in the bathroom, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, any of that stuff, even hair gel, actually. Go check out Dollar Shave Club. You can get the starter pack for just $5 now by going to dollarshaveclub.com/valuetown, and that's actually in the title too. So if you guys want to go there, and part of that starter set is you'll get a body cleanser. You'll get the razor, the best razor they have, which is the executive with 6 blades, and then you also get the famous shave butter, the One Wipe Charlie's. So it's a pretty good pack. And then if you want to pay just like an extra couple bucks, you can get razors for like months and months also. So definitely go check that out. And you're definitely not going to be sorry. I definitely like the I've actually liked the body cleansers the last time we talked, believe it or not. The lavender smell is definitely something I'm a sucker for. So yeah, definitely check that out. You can, and give them a shout out just for sponsoring the show too. All right, so let's move on to Summer Championships, which is obviously the big topic this episode, given we have Bunnyhoppor on here. First off, man, congratulations on the win. That's, huge. You've qualified for Worlds. Nice little chunk of change, too. And, it's just an achievement, right, for you. So how do you feel? Like, being, how many days removed now? Like 3 days removed from actually winning?
It was on the 1st of July.
Yeah, is it sunk in yet?
Yeah, does feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else there is. Like, it's like obviously nice looking back, and obviously like you don't really feel a difference, but if you think about it, obviously it's like, all right, already got basically, the year of Hearthstone is already more than successful. So.
So how are you going to take the rest of the year? I guess we're going to get into the specifics of the tournament, but like your outlook for the rest of the year, are you the type that's just going to like, I'm set, I'm just not going to play for months, which we've seen, other folks do in the past.
The standardizing.
The stand.
Pull a Frozen, or
Stun. Yeah, either one. Are you just going to keep grinding it out? Like, you're going to Italy, clearly, right, this weekend, so...
Italy I had booked beforehand, though, so...
okay.
That's why I'm going to Italy still. But the next month I'm basically just not going to play Hearthstone because I have basically until I hand in my thesis, the only thing I'm going to play is HCT, and there I'll try to just I'll do it a little bit with my teammates, but I'll try to basically keep Hearthstone to its minimum. I'm not going to grind for ladder at all. It's just not going to happen. Let's see what rank I finish up. I'll probably play a little bit because, playing Hearthstone is also fun. And sometimes
it's fun, really.
Yeah, that's why most people play it hard.
Exactly.
Anyways, I'll play a little bit, like in my free time, but there's definitely I'm not going to grind ladder at all. Yeah, which feels good, man.
Yeah, that seems like the biggest like no-brainer is that like not having to, not having to do anything with the ladder that you don't want to do. I feel like that part of it is like no question, no stress from that, and really really nice. So the World Championships is going to be like in January again, probably, right? So you've got a lot of time ahead of you, which is great because I think a lot of folks, if they weren't watching the broadcast or they don't know you very well, is that you split time. Like you work during the day too, and you're one of those players that isn't playing full time. So that's got to be nice, right? Like not having to stress too much, in terms of the HCT side of it.
Yeah, the other thing is like after I'm done handing in my thesis, I'll probably go back to grinding a ladder for upcoming playoffs and tournaments. But since I not only take away prize money but also 30 HCT points, I'm basically pretty well set for the next like playoffs. Like I finished twice top 50 and once top 200, so I'm at 60 points.
Yeah.
Right. So you always qualify with that at like a decent rank, and also that's like as much as it's gonna get for team standings. Since I already have my like 2 finishes from when I was trying, and then the top 200, which I just took while I was in LA. There's actually no point in grinding more anyways, right? Because you can only grind 3 out of 4 months.
Yeah.
And then when the next season starts, it's going to be 4 months again, and then basically the first month I'm definitely taking off because I need to finish writing up in that month, so I don't have time for that either.
Okay.
And then I can, in the later months of the next season, I can go start grinding for points. Just like
so
try to finish well.
Last week, we had the guy like RDU and Tom and who was our third last week? Oh, it was Fino. So we had them on to talk about just HCT, just kind of like a mid-season review, or just like, hey, what's good about HCT and what's still needs some improvement. And one of the things that came up that was a pretty big topic was just the master tier, and that we were talking about just how the points that they chose originally were just so crazy outrageous. Fino having pretty good HCT so far in 2018, it's still like not like a shoe-in to even get into that master tier either. So my question to you, Bunny, is the master tier even any kind of motivation for you at all, trying to get that 200 points, that sort of thing?
It's never going to happen that it's 200 points.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that Blizzard is going to change that. Or I think at least it should be pretty obvious that Blizzard needs to change that.
Yeah.
And I think they heard that, and I think they know they kind of misjudged how many people could do it. And I also think that they want people to be 3-star masters. They don't want this to be something that they just dangle over everybody's head like a carrot in front of a donkey, But I'll basically just see where I end up with my points. Obviously, like having 60 for this season is like, it's pretty much ridiculous, right? If you don't go to playoffs, if you don't play the playoffs, you need to get 3 top 25s and win a major.
Mm-hmm. And get 60, where you just multiply it times 3, really. I guess plus previous worlds too. Did we get some points from previous worlds too? I forget what's calculated into it, but
people get points from worlds, but they're not going to count for team standings or anything.
Yeah.
Since if worlds are like in March, let's say, it's not going to be affecting anything. Or January, I don't even know. But
yeah. For sure they'll lower. There's just no way. You got to have somebody be in the top rank. You can't have nobody up there. Otherwise, they're literally not paying out anything, right? So, for sure they'll lower it. And you should be looking pretty good for it at the very least at this point. So I was just curious if it's even a motivating factor for you versus just it's just bonus at the end. If I'm there.
I have 96 points now, which doesn't even put me doesn't even put me in the top 10 in Europe.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I don't know. I think Fino has actually, I think he has 124 now.
Yeah,
so
that sounds about right. Yeah.
There's not that many people on this level, but maybe I'm barely top 10. Mm-hmm. But if I get bronze or silver master just off whatever finishes I can put together in the next season, I'll be happy enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Silver is kind of the one you want to be because it actually translates into money. I think bronze is just participation in tournaments and some swag.
I believe that's true. Yeah.
And silver is the one that actually gets you solid travel support money and stuff like that. So where you actually have direct value.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course gold is where you actually get paid decently. In terms of I think it's mostly travel support. I don't know how exactly it's going to work, but yeah. Star Master was never my goal, especially with other things going on. And then we'll just see about next year or when I'm done with the thesis. And then if and when and what they announce about what they're going to do about the master tiers. I just think it's not going to stay the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of supporting traveling, are you paying for your own travel? You're on a team, right? Is SK not?
No, but it makes it very attractive for teams to have you in Blizzard. I think, right, the master tier says $2,000 to travel for 2 events per season is what Blizzard is willing to pay. And if your team sees that, they can. They're not going to offer you a contract which is 2,000 better, but if you know you're going to get that, you can be guys, I'm basically coming your way with money that I earned from, just investing my time into the game playing, and then, of course, that's all negotiation, but it pretty much does translate into money at some point, even if it's not the exact amount. It does help. I would assume.
Yeah, totally makes sense. It's going to be attractive for teams too. Whether you're re-signing with them or another team wants to snag you from that team. So, definitely a plus.
I think another very interesting topic about that is how stacked EU is. You also saw
Yeah.
from who qualified from all the regions for Worlds. It was basically 3 Europeans out of 4, and the 4th European got kicked out in like semi-finals, like semi-qualification by another European. So he had to drop out. And if that happens now in every season, because it's already imminent, the problem, because the Europeans are taking ladder positions from all regions. Because in Europe we have way more points, and that's only possible without being able to get more points. We don't have more tournaments or anything like that. Everyone can get points in the same way, and Europe still needs like 10 more points for prelims than any other region, just because Europeans finish on all 3 regions. High legend.
But
this is how we get all the points.
Yeah.
But that's a huge problem, I think. I think that's not okay.
That's definitely not okay, no.
Yeah.
It's so imbalanced, like the regions right now, and you can see in the playoffs. I think it's good that so many Europeans qualify, and if that happens every season, that they have to change it for next year at least.
I think we saw, like, out of the playoffs, what I think is we had also some, like, Jinsu, especially from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I think he performed excellently. Of course, he, like, didn't make it. But there was, like, also performances from other people from other regions that performed quite well, but I don't think there was any European who particularly performed badly. Also, like, sure, 3 out of 4 made it, so...
Yeah.
You usually don't perform badly and make it.
I mean, are you guys like proposing that there's just one giant, everybody's in the same bucket type of thing, or I mean, just some different type of region delineation, or screw the region thing, we just choose? I don't know. I'm not sure like what would be better then in terms of trying to make this, better.
I think Blizzard has to long-term think about if what we have now as Europe can still be the same region for, I don't know, do we have to have EU West and East? I've actually, I don't have an idea. I'm not going to say like, this is my proposal for how to change this stuff, and now Blizzard go ahead and do this because I'm so smart to have the, like, I don't know. But I think like one solution could be that you have like EU West and East, but then of course it gets hard because you need to split up 16 spots unevenly. And how do you do this? Or do you make global qualifiers? Is that even possible with people? Like, that is probably something that's just impossible to organize because people they can't play at like 2 a.m. whereas others play at like 8 in the evening, It's
unfair for somebody,
it's unfair for somebody all the time. So
it's a tough problem.
I don't know. Gaara, do you have anything that...
I think it started with Russia at some point. I think it was 2016, end of 2015, but the Russian Hearthstone scene exploded. And Russia itself could be a region. How many people play from Russia? You can see also in ladder finishes how many actually Russians finish high legend. And it counts to Europe.
I know.
But if you look at our individual countries, it's so crazy. For example, Germany is the second most stacked region second most stacked country. You need, just to get into the HGG voting, you needed 36 points or something ridiculous like that. Right. And France was even more stacked. You needed 39 points. And if you look at the overall team standings, alone 40 Germans would have qualified for NA preliminaries if the Germans would have lived in NA. That is ridiculous. Like, Europe is so stacked or like so competitive compared to the other regions. So right now it's extremely imbalanced. And I haven't thought about the solution. Like, I didn't have given the task to think about it and to solve it. Like Bunny, it's like, it's a problem for sure, I would say.
Yeah. I think outside.
I mean, right now you're forced to play on multiple regions as a European because it's so hard to finish on Europe because, it's so competitive. And then you take, I mean, the idea that you can take spots away from other regions on ladder, right? That's just, it can't be right? That we play on NA or Asia and take away basically their spots or take away their points or whatever. It has to be wrong, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it is definitely an adjustment that the players are making, and it's not breaking the rules or anything, right? It's it is creating, I feel like, a environment that they didn't originally intend it to be. So yeah, there's going to need to be some type of tweaks, and there's a lot of players that just like it's like your classic. Whenever you divide anything into like whether it's like leagues into divisions or whatnot, like you're always going to have this kind of situation where there are there are more better teams on one side of the equation, and you're only allowing X teams from each of the regions or conferences or whatever the division is.
It is already better than last year though, because last year it was like 4 players from each region that went to Worlds.
Yeah, right.
And we already like complain about that. Europe is like so strong and whatever, but yet now you can see that Europe is basically taking all the spots at Worlds as well.
I mean, it's happened last year as well, right? Because first, I think it was then the first playoffs were called the Winter, but then we also had 3 going through, right? It's like Stan, Frozen, Nyria, and I forgot the last guy. Green Chip didn't make it.
No, another notable
somebody
person
else,
though.
like,
another very notable person, right? Who was it?
It was bad to forget the name, but
oh yeah, it was.
Wasn't it Hoy who won the thing? No, that was
Hoy qualified.
That was the time after. That was Hoy won the one afterwards, right? Anyways, I don't know.
Was it before? I think I'm getting them all mixed up too, just order wise. But yeah, so I guess the point is that we still have an issue with the EU, and we still need to figure it out just because they're so stacked. But kind of bringing it back to the actual event itself. How did you feel how did you feel about groups? Because I remember seeing an interview that you had with groups and just kind of evaluating before you guys started, and like some of the players who are I think who was in your group again? It was
Glory was in my group,
yeah,
and Leoa or Lee.
Yeah, Leo. Yeah, right.
And then there's Kiln All Day, and then I know that Kiln All Day is a good player. Then I heard that Lee some people said he was a Chinese Muzzy.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what people called him.
Right.
Because he's apparently the number 1 point earner in China last year. Okay. And China has even more players than EU. And then Glory, he had like the 3rd most points in APAC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I watched his replays, and he did play very well in those. So, and I noticed that I got Glory as my first opponent, and I obviously wasn't very happy with it because, like, even when you ask the casters in the pre-shows, like, what's the group of death, they all just said Group D, which is the group I was in.
Right.
So I wasn't super happy with that. I would have rather played somebody who showed a weak performance. I mean, it's better to win against somebody who's good, but your goal is winning. So
yeah. Obviously, you don't want the hardest group. You don't want the group of death when you're going into a tournament as big as this one. Your lineup, though, like, how did you feel about your lineup? Like, I think a lot of people are talking about Killen's lineup just being crazy aggressive and just seemed to be a type of deck that I guess people didn't really expect, for it to come. So was favored against a lot of them. But I felt like yours was just solid, like really, really solid too. And like coming into it, how did you feel like in that group? Did you feel really good about the decks that you brought?
I didn't feel so great about the decks that I brought. In my group, I would have loved to bring like full aggro, like Killen. I felt a bit sniped by Glory because his decks were insanely greedy. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, even his Miracle Rogue was greedy. His Q block had a Lich King and like Spellbreaker, and what else did he have? His Shudderwock Shaman was playing Kelesas and Hemet, which is like the greediest you can build that deck, and I felt a bit sniped. Obviously, we knew our first opponent. We knew our groups and our first opponent before deck submission, which pretty much all of the players agreed on was not the best idea ever. And we also gave that as feedback to Blizzard, and we were hoping that it's not going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. They said it was to impose some kind of strategy, which, yeah. Well,
what was it? What was the problem?
No, well, we had the groups and our first opponent of our double elimination group announced before deck submission.
Oh, that's
so there's all this thing about, am I gonna get sniped? Can I play what I usually play? Viper's like, can I even play Miracle Rogue? Am I gonna get full aggro by Rasa? Or you now play like a complete anti lineup to what you usually play to like counter the potential snipe of your opponent, which is just, I mean, it feels silly, honestly.
Well, it's not necessarily fair too, because there are some players who are very well known for certain classes and decks, and they'd obviously be much more negatively impacted than a player that's more well-rounded, right, and just not known for that. So
yeah,
I'm not a huge fan.
I just
of
had
that
that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna lose twice to Glory, because Glory is gonna he was gonna win against me, and then he'll lose to whatever he comes up next, because his decks were just too greasy to beat anybody else. And then, which I mean, I guess I was wrong on, because he actually won his losers match. And then I would have faced him again, and he would just wreck me
beat you
again.
Twice. Oh man, yeah, that would.
So I didn't feel good in that series, but then I tried against the lineups of Killen, which I thought, since I had Miracle Rogue and stuff, I should be pretty unfavored. And people were saying I was super unfavored, but then I played practice series, and against Turners and Killen's lineups, I went 5-1, because turns out the statistics on HS Replay were just super wrong, insanely bad compared to usually they give you a good estimate, but this time they were just way off. So I don't know. I felt decent fella playing against him, and then against Leo as lineup, the other guy in my group, I played 3 or 4 practice series, and I lost pretty much all of them. So I was really hoping I wouldn't face him, because there I would just have to really cue the correct decks into each other. That's the problem with my lineup as well. It does a few things very well, but then depending on the lineup they have, you really just have to cue the correct matchups. For example, my Even Lock is really good against Glory's Cube Lock, but then my Mage and my Shaman are insanely bad. So you just want to, you want to cue the right matchups against the right decks.
Right. So which was the deck that you think was in terms of stats wise going in, the one that was the furthest off? Because I mean, clearly the event type of meta is much different, from a representation standpoint, right? The skill level of play, is not going to take into account some of the weaker players into the stats. So I'm curious, which one was it that was reflected the worst? Was it Even Lock, or what was it that surprised you?
It was definitely Shudderwock, because Shudderwock on ladders played with 2 lightning bolts are the most popular decks. So 2 lightning bolts, a Kaliseth, and 2 lightning storms, and I played 2 pyromancers and 2 earth shocks and an ancestral healing and a black knight.
Yeah.
So firstly, that makes your matchup against Taunt Druid way better.
Right.
And just the black knight alone, pretty much. I don't know. Earth shock, obviously they aren't so great against that. Then Black Knight and Earth Shock make it a lot better against Even Lock, because you have good answers. Sure, Kaliseth can. If you draw Kaliseth earlier, obviously your win rate goes up by a lot. And then the Pyromancers against aggro, they're just insane.
Crazy good. Yeah.
Odd Paladin win rate of Shudderwock on ladder is 30-something%, and in practice matches against Odd Paladin, I felt more. I felt 60% favored, probably more.
Well, there's just not. I think the Shudderwock Shaman just isn't represented as much with the Pyro in it, right? So, Pyro is just crazy good against Paladin. So, that makes sense.
I mean, I read some analysis on our decks that was posted on playhearthstone.com, and they said that going without Kaliseth was just a mistake. But I had several players at the event, namely Rasa, Dog, and Nalgaiden, who all brought Kaliseth Pyromancer versions, all disagree with me, just because it felt so much better against the aggro decks.
Okay.
So I don't know. Apparently all the aggro decks should destroy my Shudderwock, but right. I felt Shudderwock was rather decent against aggro decks, the other way around. The version that I was playing.
How do you beat Shudderwock? How do you beat Shudderwock if the aggro decks are not the way to beat it? That's.
Yeah, no. His list was definitely good. I talked about the list also in my group with
let's take a look at Bunny's list here. Here, I'm going to bring it up.
The other thing is like this list is obviously much worse against things like Odd Rogue, because you don't have lightning bolts. You have like no answer
Or
except
Miracle.
for X to the thugs. Yeah. So like Miracle Rogue also stomps you a lot more. Like you make some of your bad matchups, you make them like way worse. And then obviously they're not like without Hammett, it's just not that great in the mirror. Like I played Box Shaper because it's the
Yeah,
more
Box Shaper's
it
hype.
like
Yeah.
Box Shaper like gets you your elementals and has some synergy with ancestral healing and stuff. And it can just usually if it catches you like 2 cards is fine enough, because it's like the minion has taunt without having taunt, right? It needs to die. It also doesn't have just like soft taunt. It has to die, because if you draw too many of the cheap cards like the glacial shards and your combo pieces out of your deck, just the combo gets finished so quickly. So
Were you the only
I don't
person
know.
to play
Of course,
Box
in the
Shaper?
mirror, this is super bad.
Were you the only person to play Box Shaper? I forget if anybody else brought it too.
I was the only person to play Box Shaper.
Yeah.
It's like a questionable card. I didn't bring it for Italy again because I took out the ancestral healing as well. Because even though it worked twice on stream and like people lost their mind about ancestral healing Black Knight, I wanted to try something else for Italy. I didn't have like a single practice game with it for Italy, but I just want to try out like a little bit different build. Like take out a few tech cards and change them up. Try out Hammett, even though I personally always felt like Hammett sucked really badly.
I did too. Yeah, I never felt that it was great.
I mean, it's because it's very easy to explain, because Hammett is a completely dead card versus aggressive decks, and against control decks, you basically want to play. You want to maximize your Serenite Chain Gangs, and you want to play Zola. You want to play everything, and usually you have time to play everything against slow decks because it's a good matchup. That you don't want to rush it. The only matchup where I really think Hammett is very good is the Mirror, because it's worth to take the risk to lose 30% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, Doc was just telling me that it's like really good and I should play it, so I wanted to try it out for Italy. We'll see how that goes. Also took in an MC tech.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm not gonna put in Zola because I just think Murmuring is way better than Zola. Yeah, that I'm like pretty convinced that Murmuring Elemental, if you don't have to play Zola because you don't play KLSS, just Murmuring is just way better. Gives you 100% combo if in some things, and then Murmuring Chain Gangs against Rogue is insane. And Murmuring Hagata against pretty much everything that wants to be on board is insane.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, it's definitely good to switch it up. I mean, I think that bringing the exact same thing to, especially when you made like these slight nuances, is something that people will expect, or they might just kind of come to expect something like that, given that you did have the ancestral and plays and Box Shaper and so I think it is just generally smart just to switch it up too.
Yeah, we'll see. Ancestral Healing also has like really good synergy against aggro with Wild Pyro, which is something quite interesting to me, because also I felt like it was always needed against like even Shaman, because you need to 3 damage AoE them, and then obviously Wild Pyromancers can't 3 damage AoE by themselves. Right? They just die after the second one. Also, you don't have enough mana to pull off, like, you need to play Healing Rain for it to stay alive for a while. So, and that already costs like 5 mana in total, and then you need to fit 2 more spells in, and that should cost like at most 2 mana.
Yeah.
So you need to either get something of your Farsight, or you just need that Ancestral Healing. But we'll see. I was just trying things out. Still convinced on the one Life Drinker though.
Just a single one. Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm very convinced on that. That was the right call. Because it's
what you're
so
thinking
bad
of
against
just
even luck.
Oh, because
it's the worst card in the deck.
It's like your worst card in the deck. Yeah, I don't know. Even though in HSP play it's like decent plate stats because you need it for the combo. I feel like if you just play Glacial Shards and Black Knight, I mean, you didn't even have to play Black Knight. You just have to play Glacial Shards and you get your combo done.
You can't do anything, basically, right? Yeah, I mean,
like on average, you just put like, depending. Let's say you didn't play Agatha. On average, you put 12 stats on board and freeze their board. Like, sure, And then if you play Black Knight, all the taunts are gone as well, so you can push damage next turn.
Yeah, I think watching the Shudderwock plays is probably the biggest difference, I think, from like the pro scene versus like your average Hearthstone player. And so, a lot of people push really fast, especially the folks that play Hemet, right? They actually take some huge risks with the Shudderwock Shaman like really early on, playing Shudderwock like really early too, and trying to win that way. There were some questionable ones, like hard to say if they were right or not, but you see at least that kind of decision making where a lot of folks don't even make that decision at all, because they don't really see the winning line that way. But what are you laughing at, buddy?
Oh, some of the Shudderwock plays at this championship were just awful.
Yeah.
Just downright awful. But I mean, most of them were fine. Most of them actually played their matchups quite well. I don't want to just say people played bad, because that's definitely not true. But there was like one or two Shudderwock plays who were just, they
didn't have to. I mean, they could have like played more Battlecry. They could more of their Battlecry cards, and they could even gotten more out of their Shudderwock. But they clearly saw something else, and went for it.
Also, the deck is super hard to play. I mean,
I'm
100% sure I made a few misplays on my Shadow games as well, even though I felt happy overall about like how I played my Shadow games personally, and just basically about how I played. I was satisfied with that, but I'm sure that I made some mistakes with the deck, just because hero powering or not on turn 2 is actually like a decision, and which totem you play when you play Farsight, all these things, they're like small differences, but they can have like very delicate different outcomes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when people want to overdraw you.
When people want to overdraw me, I'm usually pretty happy. They're like, I'm going to overdraw, and I'm like, yeah, thank you.
No, but you still have to keep in mind, like, especially when you draw too much card draw, and people want to overdraw you.
You can have
you have to keep it in mind.
Moment there.
It's not easy, but sometimes you just have to throw out a card. Like, if they want to overdraw you for one card, and you draw 2 cards in the process, you're usually like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you, in a lot of situations, have to play the deck. You just have to accept that if I play an Acolyte here, and they can overdraw me for 1 card,
worth it. Yeah.
Worth it. Like, if they burn your combo, you're going to lose that game, but other than that, like, not playing the Acolyte's just not an option. Like, you can't have it in your hand.
If they don't hit a key card, it helps you too much.
Exactly, yeah. Even if they, especially if they burn, like, a non-key card, you like,
so what?
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. There's, like, definitely nothing going on.
Do you keep Shudderwock in any matchup ever?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I personally do not.
I don't either, and I played a lot of Shudderwock. And for example, on HS Replay, 25% of people keep Shudderwock in the starting hand.
I mean, there's like, there's some matchups where you might want to keep it. Like Taunt Druid is like one of the matchups where you actually might want to keep it, because they're insanely good at overdrawing you at the like worst moments for you. So you don't want to overdraw your Shudderwock. And there you can, like, there's a lot of moments. I'm not quite sure.
But you still probably can't afford to keep it, I think.
It just depends on your starting hand, I think, if you like can afford it. But sure. Then on the other hand, I don't play Hammer, because like Naturalize after Hammer just feels bad, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't play Hammer, and then sure.
So in terms of kind of looking at just the different cards that we see here. In terms of the deck what were the decks that you felt was the surprising deck of the tournament, and which do you think was the most disappointing, like in terms of the players and maybe the reactions afterwards and talking to some of the guys?
You mean
surprisingly good, and then I guess same thing, surprisingly bad, because they're obviously disappointed they brought it. So I can throw one out for I thought the Cube Lock surprised me. I didn't think that many people would bring Cube Lock, and we actually had a finalist that did quite well with Cube Lock. So that one I think outperformed. There was a lot of talk about the Priest, right? Like there was Dog and some others were saying that the Priest was not well represented, like in terms, or at least the stats weren't really representing how good the deck really was, like at the top of all of Hearthstone. So yeah.
Agreed. I don't know. I just felt like Q Block just does pretty much everything except for play against Shudderwock, and Big Spell Mage. It just does everything worse that Even Long wants to do. And when I played the deck myself on ladder, I never felt like it was a good deck. It's always felt like I was just dead all the time against absolutely everything, which wasn't Shudderwock Shaman.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. It surprised me that people brought it, and it surprised me that Casper did so well with it. But we were making fun of it like all the time. Like, feels bad, man, to have brought like Q Block, and he was like, yeah, man, I don't know. I didn't even practice the decks. I was just thinking about Evenlock versus Q Block, and then.
Oh, what? Wait, did he just submit the wrong one?
No. Okay. He purposely cemented Q Block because it made more sense with his strategy. Okay. But he was like getting scared that Q Block was going to be bad.
Okay.
Obviously, with my lineup, I was like super unhappy to face Q Block because Evenlock is like way better for me. And Evenlock was like, I think, didn't do so well in the tournament. But then like my first match, I 3-0'd the Q Block with Big Spell Mage, Shadow Shaman, and Evenlock, and like. I don't know. Bad, he'll draw Skull, they draw Ooze, you lose.
Yeah.
This is how it works. Yeah. And I don't know. There's so much weapon hate in this meta. I was expecting so much weapon hate.
Oh, there's a ton. Like everybody's winning,
I don't
right?
know.
I feel like
this like Twig Druids, that stuff. I don't know. I didn't really felt like the deck really had a good place. And then also I was super surprised at Spiteful Druid. I was like, what?
Yeah, was there that many? There's one.
It was one person.
There's just
and
one,
it did well.
Yeah, that was an interesting deck. That was a
Sauti, the guy also played really well. So, but then again, I think he in his group stage he won twice with the deck and lost once, and 3 times he had like Kelesis on 2. You're like, well, I mean, sure, that's not your average Spiteful Druid, but
right.
Also, the guy played well, but I don't know. Spiteful Druid, there's a reason people don't play it on ladder. And there's a good reason people don't play it on ladder.
He played Recruit Hunter too, which was like, he and Tense Soku were played. I thought that was really cool that they brought it. I think they won once with it too, right? Or
Null Gaiden also brought it, and
Gaiden bring it too?
If he didn't get like upset in his last match by Viper on the Evenlock, Null Gaiden would have also made it with Recruit Hunter.
That poor guy, man. I feel so bad for Gaiden. He gets into top 16 like every single time, and then just never qualifies. It's so killer, man.
I think he got stopped twice now by game 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's obviously feels bad, man. Yeah. But I was also surprised by people bringing this because we tested it and it felt amazing for what we wanted to do. And at the end of the day, we said, we're still not going to bring this because even though it does what we wanted to do perfectly, it still just dies so hard to aggro decks.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he had the meta read that people weren't going to bring aggro.
So what's the deck that you would be targeting with this, just so the audience, just our listeners know?
Okay, so the version we were thinking about bringing was playing Spellstones instead of like some of the cheaper stuff because it targets way better. Some list that Muzzy's been playing in DreamHack Sweden. Mm-hmm. It just destroys Evenlock because you have like 2 freezing traps. You have a venomous strike.
Wow.
You have like 2 Hunter's Mark, and you just destroy the giants. You play your Spellstones, and then on 6 you still play the Oozling, and they usually can't build a board before that, or when they can build a board, they can't really attack. Mm-hmm. And if they do, and if it's a venomous strike, they don't really have proper removal because they don't have the life total to be able to Hellfire.
So do you even run Keloseth or any of this stuff? Basically, it's none of this stuff, and then all the traps and.
Yeah, you play like Hunter's Marks, Candle Shots, Play Deads, Animal Companions.
Right.
You just take out like you take out like Fireflies, Keloseth, the Chain Gangs, the Tar Creepers. Like the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And you also take out the 5 mana, the Witch Grizzly. like all your defensive tools. You just take them out and put in greed and like aggressive tools, and
So
it really helps you destroy even luck. But you just get farmed by aggro so hard. Even though you play like explosive trap, they don't
it's
really
easy
have to
play
attack.
around.
They just make a decent board play, level up, and you're just simply dead.
Yeah.
Just dead. It's like
Yeah,
they hit you for 15 in the face.
It costs them 2 mana to replace what you just killed with your explosive trap. So it's not very hard to play around it. Odd Paladin's just gonna always wipe this hunter. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't played that build. I was like trying to do kind of homebrew my own solution against even Warlock, but I didn't play the Venomous Strike one. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I guess answering that question. Didn't really answer the question, really, right? Maybe even luck being so popular, and I think we talked about it losing a fair share amount.
Another thing I want to point out about the even lock is I think it's a very high skill cap deck.
Even Warlock?
I think a lot of people play it wrong, but I've seen people play it to perfection, and those people that play it really to perfection, they get finished also top 10 legend with it, or like rank 1 legend.
What are like the big misplay? Like what's the big?
I would say the best. Like Amnesiac plays even lock insanely good, and he won like Denver with it, and he had it in lineup. I know like Striveco plays even lock very good, but I think that a lot of people just play even lock in a lineup because it's a good deck to bring, but don't practice the deck enough or like learn it or whatever. And it's a mid-range deck. And you play
it's not just giant.
It's not just giant and free and win the game. It's really, really way more than that. So I think it's similar to Shudderwock Shaman. And you see like what is underlooked is how bad Shudderwock Shaman performs overall in tournaments. Almost nobody makes it through with a Shudderwock lineup. It's such a high skill cap deck, and you can really tech it very differently. And as soon as you change 2 or 3 cards in Shudderwock Shaman, it changes the matchups completely. Like Bunny mentioned earlier, like you play Pyromancer, then suddenly you turn Odd Paladin matchup, which is like a really bad matchup in general, to a favorable matchup almost, or even a favorable matchup. And I think it's very similar with Evenlock. It's also like the tags with Skulking Guys, Black Knight, it really changes like matchups and how it's played and matchups. And I from playing it myself to Legend as well, from watching really the best Evenlock players, I was like blown away by how much skill actually matters with the deck. It's really not just giant and free and win low.
Yeah. If only, like, at least a lot of people believe that.
Sometimes you do that though.
Yeah, I mean that's probably where a lot of the the wins do come from. But to have like a crazy awesome win percentage like you guys do, then you have to learn everything about or every different type of line, right? And that's involved with the even lock. So here's a question for you. I know you had to like figure out your lineups maybe even before playoffs, but given that there's just so many events like back to back or very, very close together, how much of your lineup decisions are based on the last event now versus just like looking at stats like I need to replay and just like trying to evaluate just general meta? Anyways, that's the question.
You want to go first, Gaara?
Oh, you won the freaking championship. You should.
Okay, sure. I mean, well, okay. Well, like,
you're our guest.
All right. So, firstly, you wanna look at your own testing and your like own percentages on certain things, or just test matchups yourself. But then also, I think like previous tournaments is where you would take your information, like exactly what you talked about, the previous tournament experience. Like you look at how a deck performed under tournament conditions, and you think about especially the tech choices, how they performed under tournament conditions. And if you hit your expected field, like what does it do? What does it not do? I was actually afraid that Shudderwock was not going to do so well because it didn't do so well in Sweden, I think, for a lot of us. But then I think it ended up like being the second best deck at the tournament after Miracle Rogue. I think it went like 23-11 over the entire tournament, which is insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
Only Miracle Rogue was better. Miracle Rogue win rates were off the charts. But yeah, you just like put together the different choices that you have and put them next to each other, and you just basically draw a bunch of errors and what beats what we like, where's its weakness, and can I play this? What do I expect people to bring?
Yeah.
And for me, I had 2 lineups in the end, which was the one that I brought, and then the full aggro lineup, which also made a lot of sense to me, honestly. Just because it's like, I don't know, it's, full aggro right now is just the let's say full aggro plus even lock. It's like, that's just step 0. That's just playing solid decks and hope they win. Which I don't think there's never anything wrong with the like step 0 strategy. That's the strategy that people have to prove that they can beat it. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you're gonna have at least one matchup that's like, on the fence, right? If you're going against a full out aggro deck, I mean, you can't. You're not. I mean, I guess you could just kind of do the counter strategy, which is run like a full anti-aggro deck, and then you just stomp it. But for the most part, people generally have something in between, right? Either it's a little bit heavier on the aggro side than the control side, or a little bit heavier on the control side, or I guess mid range is pretty popular right now too. But you always have that one deck, right? That you just gotta you gotta figure out how to get that win with, and that's all about skill and just the skill ceilings, in those specific decks. I mean, that's the difference between like pro level play and what we see even at top of ladder. But
well, yeah, you could see like after if you look at what people submitted for Italy, you can see that a lot of people weren't happy with the even look for like how it performed for Killen and Turner, especially for like the lineup that I played that gave us like an additional out, because our lineup was just insane at bullying that deck. And like our worst matchup was maybe Shudderwock against it. Though with our attacks, I don't know, felt okay. Was maybe the mirror.
It was very good with our shocks.
Yeah.
Like, and then they have to ban, or they don't have to, but at least Turner, for example, banned my even lock, and because it's good against his aggro decks. And then suddenly I have 3 good decks against one of his decks, and then suddenly he loses like a lineup edge completely. Because you can't bully Miracle Rogue with even lock. It just doesn't work.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So people for Italy, they just replace like even lock by like a deck which people think is generally worse, but which is like full smork. Like, I don't know, Odd Rogue, which had disappeared from tournament meta because people were just like, well, it's the worst aggro deck. Token Druid and like Odd Pala and even Shaman.
Oh, so people just replaced. You're talking about in Italy, yeah? So it's just people.
Yeah, in Italy, like people just started bringing more aggressive stuff. Some people even like replaced like Token Druid again because it was like didn't feel aggressive enough, and they just put in like some sort of smork hunter.
Actually, Malagos Druid fits in the aggro lineup.
Yeah. Okay, well,
because you ban Volo.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you get surprised by how people they just went the extra smork step now, and then some other people went the extra control step and just took out like even lock from our lineup, put in priest, and then it gets like even better at bullying other even locks, for example.
Yeah,
So
it's that's why we're focusing on just talking about the lineups, by the way, guys, is because that's a lot of event meta right now. Has a lot to do with what decks you bring. I mean, there's still plenty of skill involved, in execution of them. But you talk to every single player right now, and every single player will tell you that lineups, what you bring to the deck, are going to have a very, very large effect on how you do in that tournament. And if you just happen to pick the wrong lineup, you kind of know how you're going to do even before it starts. So once you get a look at everybody else's deck, but you had I don't think going in the groups, I think that you had some bad ones that ended up working out well for you, and then that's
another surprising thing because Killen was on paper a super favorite in that group. Like everyone was saying like he had the best group for his lineup,
right, yeah.
And he ended up like struggling. He lost first round.
It's Hearthstone, man. Yeah, it's.
Wait. Killen won his first game, right, against the Chinese guy.
I think he lost.
And then he faced me in the winners final half our group. But then people said he was like super favored against me because he was just gonna bully my Miracle and my Shudderwock to death. And then from the practice series, I played, I felt like that was just simply not true. Just because the Shudderwock sets were so insanely wrong.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, overall, I think in this entire tournament, his lineup was very good because nobody expected aggro, and then he went full smork, and he ended up making it from the only non-European. So props to him for sure.
Yeah, he would have been super happy in like Group B where people just played like recruit hunters. He would have been like, recruit hunter? Yeah.
Right.
And you just like bulldoze right over that with his decks.
Yeah.
So I think that was
fine in the end. I mean, he still made it. And surprisingly,
his lineup was really good.
Yeah, and surprisingly got 3-0'd actually in the semis. I that surprised me a bit, but
yeah, that was the surprise because his lineup was so good for the tournament, and then he kind of struggled, but ended up still making it.
Oh, it's basically your lineup, right? It was Viper's lineup, right? It was 883-650's lineup, right? That ended up beating him. I guess with Q block and.
Wait, how did Recruit Hunter win?
I didn't expect him to get beaten by Q block, but Control Priest was obviously super good against his lineup.
Yeah.
Then Taunt Druid wasn't that great. I'm really curious about what the Taunt Druid stats were, because I mean I threw a game against it, but Viper basically said that he kept on bullying that deck, which was also the purpose of our lineup.
Yeah.
I felt like it lost a lot. Like when I was watching, I felt like I was seeing Taunt Druid lose a lot. And a lot of people brought it, so there was a ton of it.
Yeah, people just brought lineups which are like good by themselves, but then on the side are kind of decent at bullying Taunt Druid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which wasn't so hard to realize, and which is also kind of what we did.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we move on? Spend a good time, amount of time on the tournament. But again, man, congratulations, and can't wait to see you at Worlds. I should have picked you, man. It was like between you and Dog, and of course I was the sucker that picks the popular dude, and I get 0. Actually, you should be lucky that I didn't pick you, because I always curse whoever I pick. So I ended up picking Dog and getting no packs again.
I told people if they want to win packs.
One pack. Sorry. Yeah.
People that ask me who to vote for, I said if you want to win packs, you should vote for Bunny.
That's right.
It's the smart choice.
It's got to be the
smart
next
choice.
meme right there, man. It's got to be a pack with Bunny on it. All right, so let's move on. Let's maybe get a few questions in here in a second, but I do want to spend just a real quick part of the show, just like we always do, which is to thank our patrons, all the folks that support Valuetown. If you're interested in doing so too, go to patreon.com/Valuetown and make a pledge today. It really helps us and supports us in terms of doing these episodes each week for you guys. But want to spend just a second just to thank some of them. So to our producer, legendary producer Mike T, and to some of the others: Devin Y, Engen S, Raydan, Greg S, Danny H, Code Chemist, Howard P, Farron F, Kevin G, Mike T, Richard M, A Random Guy, ASMR, and Alistair M. Thanks so much, guys. You guys are the best, and I hope you guys continue supporting the show. All right, so we got one question from Jason R, which was, I think, meant for last week, but we didn't get a chance to read that many. But if you have any questions in the Twitch chat, we'll take a couple from Twitch chat and we'll call it a day. But Jason R has a question about global games. How come Blizzard didn't give a choice, given that's, I guess, July 4th, right? So why didn't they give us a choice of a lady to represent America in the global games? The reason, Jason, maybe you didn't understand how, like a lot of the candidates were made, is that it's based on points, right? And, like there's a lot of people in America, and it just turns out that there aren't very many females that have a lot of points right at this moment. So that's probably the reason. Nothing to look into there. I don't know why people... there's definitely some other countries that did have, some females in it, like Pathra and some of the others. Wait, is Pathra the only one? Actually, how many females are in global games? Do you guys know of any other females that made it on the team?
I mean, last year was Karakute, I know that, but I don't know about this year.
Yeah, man, maybe Pathra's the only person that I can think of. We need more females in the Hearthstone, man. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to.
We have, but they play arena.
Okay, sure.
We actually have a lot of female arena players.
Well, we got Allie plays too, and yeah, that's true. There's a good number.
But she's unfortunately from the United States.
Yeah, the U.S. has a lot of competition.
Played some pretty good Hearthstone at Sage Story Cup. That was actually good to watch what she played there. It's like,
There were like Nicolina was there too, right? Like there was like the F2K team. I think had a few.
That's true, yeah. But she's also American, right? And like to get on that team is basically impossible.
Yeah,
That's by the way another thing. This is like reverse. It's kind of crazy that America has only one team for HCG. If you compare, it's like basically an anti-prelim reach.
It's the same European issue that you were talking about.
And it's reverse because Europe has like 50 countries that can play in HCG and America has one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, anyways, if you guys have any other questions too, like definitely, write them out in Twitch chat. We'll take a couple from Twitch chat. Actually, let me check Twitter real quick, and then we'll see if we want to call it a day because I know these guys got to get going and get ready for Italy. What time do you guys leave tomorrow?
East Coast and West Coast. Just throwing it out.
East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, there should be 2 teams.
Would that actually work?
We can have 2 German teams as well. Germany East and Germany West.
Dude, your team is stacked, man. The German team's looking good.
There are actually also teams in Europe which have more potential by themselves than single other countries. I think France and Germany are the ones that stand out to me right now. Like if you just take the German player pool.
Czech Republic.
Yeah. Who's on Czechs?
Stanley's not even in there, and it's super.
Stan's not on Czech team, really?
I don't think he had the points or something.
Oh man, okay. I guess he's been streaming more lately, like more so than.
Yeah, but it's still a super good team.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good question. Ghostrix has: did Bunnyhoppor bet on himself for packs?
Oh snap!
Never put all your eggs in the same basket.
Smart. Said by a smart man. Yeah.
He voted for Forrest.
I mean, LUL.
Wait, who did you pick? Who was your champion?
I voted for Viper.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have voted like my first opponent, making sure that if I lose, I get like
you're guaranteed
another pack.
Right.
But I was like, nah, Viper's gonna make it out of groups for sure, so I'm gonna vote for Viper.
This is the plot twist. Viper voted on himself as well.
I don't even know if he voted at all.
Well, okay, that's just not smart. All right, not voting is the only thing that you can't do. You need to at least vote for somebody just to get some packs. But that's funny. Oh, so it turns out that Karakute is on the Philippines team, so she's back. That's good.
I was about to say Philippines.
Who did you vote for, Gaara?
I voted for Dog, but I expected one pack. But I told people, if you want to win packs, you vote for Bunny. I just do this for fun.
Oh.
I know that Bunny will win. I jinx it every time as well.
Oh, man. I was like struggling, man. I was like, oh.
Come on, struggling. That's easy choice.
No, I was struggling in picking.
I mean, killing or Bunny.
Yeah, killing was the third.
I didn't know that Viper had like the same lineup as Bunny. Then that's basically the same vote, to be honest. But I just know that.
I mean, they practice together. Why wouldn't they bring the same thing?
No.
Right?
Have you seen Orange's group? That they never bring the same lineup.
That's true. Actually, yeah.
Never.
That's so weird. Like, I don't get that.
I don't think it's that weird.
Really?
No, actually, it meant like also with the groups being announced before and your first opponent being announced, it made a lot of sense to bring different lineups because if you would have made a lineup which was like 100% a Viper lineup or 100% a me lineup, like it would be so easy to counter.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know, and you run into that in your first match and just bring whatever lineup you want. You get countered in the like a GSL group. I think that's what it's called. Like if your first opponent manages to just snipe you right away, you're pretty much done for. And that being for the tournament. So
it's actually crazy because technically it was very similar to the Muzzy and Dog situation, like where he had to beat Muzzy twice to make it to regionals. Like basically, if you snipe your opponent, you can just beat him twice if he loses in.
I mean, that's what Killen did with Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci lost to one single person in the America's prelims. He lost like once. I think he actually beat Killen in Swiss, and then he lost twice in the group to Killen. And Killen had like the worst lineup for Fibonacci in the entire tournament. He beats him once in Swiss, loses twice to him in groups and doesn't make it, and beats everybody else in the competition. Like, that's just crazy.
That's where it hurts, man. It's like you didn't even care about winning the rest. Like you just, or it felt like that. Obviously, Killen did well, but wait, did he? Yeah, he did, right? But that's pretty. It hurts a lot whenever this type of strategy is basically promoted or allowed, right? And that ends up happening because you do want to get past round one. I mean, you have to get past round one. So, giving yourself the best chance to do that is generally what a lot of people will do, right?
But are you satisfied with getting, like, if you get out of groups, if you like manage to snipe your first opponent while bringing bad decks, you snipe him game one, you win, you lose his match, he wins his
right.
You lose in the winners match, he wins his losers match, blah blah blah. Anyways, you face him again, you beat him again, you get out of groups, you still have a shitty lineup, you face somebody from another group, you lose again, you're top 8. Like at this tournament, sure, top 8 is great because it gives you extra money and extra point, but what counted at this tournament was top 4.
Yeah.
And not getting top 4 is a disappointment to everybody who came, because everybody just wants to be top 4. And that's it. Like afterwards, everything is just like icing on the cake.
Yep. That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
So the strategy of like beating your first opponent and then possibly being unfavored in your top 4 mates, I guess you can be like, all right, if I make it to top 8, I can just high roll once and then I'll make up for the bad lineup by high rolling. But
yeah,
I don't think that's a good average strategy.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of people about like Recruit Hunter and Spiteful Druid, maybe even, that they actually try to snipe their first opponent?
I don't think so. Xiao T, who bought the Spiteful Druid, he was really convinced that was really a good deck. It did perform well for him.
I mean, there's probably not much stats on that deck right now. Like on the,
Wait, did anyone try to snipe then the first opponent?
I mean, I'm not quite sure if Glory tried to snipe me, actually. He had, I think, a good lineup.
Yeah, he had like a very good lineup against you.
Yeah, he had the cube
left. I'm not even sure. I think it was just his comfort decks. I think that's just what he loves to play greedy stuff. And it just happened to be good against me. I don't think anybody particularly...
But it's so weird to know your first opponent.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up. There's a quick, there's a couple of questions. One is just, are you gonna be at HCT Oakland? Actually, for me, it's like, no, that's on the opposite side of the country as me. There needs to be an HCT in Florida, and then like I'd totally be there. I'd be watching for sure. But there's just never an HCT Orlando or anything like that. But we got to wrap up because these guys got to get packed. They need to start heading out to Italy. I need to start doing some July 4th stuff soon. So Bunnyhoppor, man, pleasure having you again. Congrats. And, it was a pleasure to have you on the show today. Any shout outs you want to do before you take off?
I'll do a Twitter post later today where I just thank all the people that helped me build my lineup, because I haven't done that yet because I was traveling so far. But I'll
follow them on
people
Twitter.
that help me build my follow me on Twitter, definitely. That's at Bunnyhoppor. But I'd like to shout out especially Kolmari, a smaller German player, but he helped us build the lineup. And then of course Viper and Casey for practicing and discussion. And then people that helped me practice during the days were like Fino, Boston, of course. Most of everything was Viper, but a little bit on the side was like Fino, Boston, and Meaty. They helped me a little bit to practice.
Okay, great. Gaara, shoutouts?
Bigger shout out to Bunnyhoppor for being on the show. It's super cool. Like to have the winner like on the show is like the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, this is perfect. Everything else, like shout out to the people listening, watching. Shout out to you. It's awesome to be back. And see you next time, hopefully.
I have one more.
Okay,
one more shout out to Ben Brode for never making my Shudderwock combo fail.
Oh. You should have said Ben Brode for allowing Shudderwock to go through, right? Even though he was, worried about it, I guess.
I know he doesn't work anymore.
Yes, we know. He doesn't care anymore.
It's a joke.
Yeah. Okay, and Gaara, are you done with shout-outs? I wasn't sure if we were...
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. And I'll round things out. Give a shout out to all the folks that are watching, obviously, on this holiday. Thanks for tuning in. You can find the VOD on youtube.com/ChanManV, and I'm gonna fix the audios too, just in case like we were like off a little bit today. So you can watch it, there with very even audio there, and then you can obviously find us on audio channels too, like iTunes and Google Play and SoundCloud.com/ChanManV and Spotify too now. So you can look us up, Value Town, on Spotify and add it to your playlist if you'd like that.
Actually, one shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Instagram, Garbage Shaman.
Oh,
I always put pictures
Shaman.
behind the scenes.
Oh, Gaara Shaman. Or Gaara Best Shaman or just Gaara Shaman?
Garbage Shaman everywhere.
Okay.
YouTube, Twitter, us.fm, I think. Instagram, Twitch.
All right. Okay, and yeah,
Google Plus.
Follow the show's Twitter, ValueTownGG, and and HSReplay.net, of course. The ValueTown's the HSReplay.net show too. So get your stats there, check it out, and that's gonna be it, guys, for this week. So for Bunnyhoppor, Gaara, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next time.
If I knew about Oakland, I would have went to Oakland actually instead of Italy.